Good. We're learning about this week's Torah portion. And this week's Torah portion, Kitisa, the Rebbe points out that we can find the whole entire history of creation, all the dynamics of reality and creation in this week's Torah portion specifically, which the Rebbe explains he explains it in terms of beginning, middle, and end. That everything there is in the world has a beginning to it, and it has a middle, what the thing is, and then it has a goal, a purpose. Everything there is. And so it is, we see in the creation of the world. A, B, C. The Rebbe says A is Aleph, that's God, like Anochi, that's the first of the 10 Commandments. Anochi, God. Then after that, Beit is Breshit, the whole entire creation. And then Gimel is Geula, the future redemption. Says the Rebbe, even in more detail, we can see that this week's Torah portion, it talks about, first of all, the first tablets and how wonderful they were, and how Moses went up to receive them. Step number one. Step number two, that Moshe broke the tablets. He saw the Jewish people worshiping the golden calf, and he broke the tablets. Terrible tragedy. And number three is that he gave the second tablets. God gave the second tablets, which in some ways were better than the first ones. So the Rebbe says, from this we can understand a very major thing, that this whole entire world is just the middle step. This is step number two. Don't take the world too seriously. It's only a means to an end. The goal of this physical world, the way it is now, with all of the disappointments and holocausts and frustrations and disease and terrible things that there are in the world, it's only step number two. It's what do you say? It's only the middle. It's like watching a movie, right? There has to be a middle, but the main thing is, what's the end? How is it? They really real in the end. They find the gold or whatever the end of the thing. They discover who the who the real culprit is, or it has a happy ending. So the Rebbe says the world is going to have a happy ending, but we have to understand that what's going on right now is only temporary. And also in the individual life, if a person did sins, made mistakes, did terrible things, it's like the breaking of the tablets. The Jews, that was the ultimate sin they did. The tablets were broken. You have to understand that's not the end. Don't give up. Don't give up. Wait to the end. Wait to the end. It's like they say that there was a story that once a man, he went with his friend. They were from the city. They decided they're going to travel around a little bit. They were in the big city their whole lives. They went out into a field. They went out into the outside of the city, into the country. They saw a big field. Suddenly came along a farmer with two big oxes and a plow, and he plows up the field. And they're looking and they're saying, this guy's he's a maniac. He had a nice field. He's plowing it up. What's he plowing up the field for? What's he doing? So one of them said, let's wait. Let's wait, and we'll come back a little while longer. They come back, and here comes the farmer, and he's got a big sack of grains of wheat. And he takes the grains of wheat and he starts throwing them on the ground where he plowed. And they look at the man's a maniac. First of all, he's wrecking up his field. And now he's taking wheat. He could make loaves of bread from it. You could eat it. You could have a meal. Right? From that all that wheat, he could make, who knows, 20 loaves of bread, 100 loaves of bread, who knows? But he's not. So they said, let's come back a little while longer. They came back a little while, a few months, whatever, and suddenly they see the whole field is beautiful wheat, stalks of wheat, beautiful, flowing, waving in the wind. So, wow, that really looks nice. Suddenly comes along the farmer with a big sickle and he cuts it all down. And one of the brothers says, wow, this guy is really a maniac, right? Finally, his field looks nice. It's got these, we didn't understand. But now he's cutting the whole thing down. We can see the man is just, we better get out of here before who knows what he's going to do to us. And the other brother waited, and he saw that he ground up the grains, and so he noticed suddenly that he has like 1,000 times more grains than just the one bag that he had before, and he makes from it flour. From that flour, you can make 10,000 loaves of bread. Who knows how many? But there was the middle process that he didn't have patience to wait. Okay, I mean, how much patience will we have? We've already been waiting 2,000 years since the destruction of the temple, 4,000 years since Abraham. Any second the Mashiach is supposed to come, it's a lot of seconds if you're thinking about it. But nevertheless, the Rebbe says that that's the way it is. That's the way it is. That's the way God set it up. You can say you don't believe in it. It could be, but that's the fact. You don't have to believe in the fact if you don't want to, but that's the fact. And so it is in individual life, private life. If a person does bad, makes mistakes, goes against his own conscience, you have to know that's only like the breaking of the tablets. It's only a temporary state. According to this, now we can understand why it was that only when Moses came down with the second tablets, the rays of glory, Karni Hod, of Moses shone from his face, only on the second tablets. Why? This is like the letter Gimel. We said Aleph, Beit, Gimel, ABC. This is like it's showing on the last stage, on the goal. This comes only after the sin of the golden calf and etc. These last tablets, you have to understand also what the Rebbe is saying over here. The Rebbe is saying that somehow or other, I mean, this is a very, very touchy thing to say, but the Rebbe is saying that the breaking of the tablets and the sin with the golden calf was a necessary stage for this third thing. Not to encourage people to do sins. You don't have to. I mean, you don't have to encourage people. People do it pretty good on their own. But when, God forbid, a bad thing is done, you have to understand that a lot of times it's done in order that when you correct it, it comes out better than it was before. In simple English, the word is called experience. Experience is holy. It says in the Talmud, in the Kedushin, that you're supposed to stand up. You're supposed to stand up for an old Gentile. If you're a big rabbi, it doesn't make any difference. A person that's old, you're supposed to stand up for him. Why? Because he has experience. Harpatka Oter says he has experience. And experience is holy. Davka Luchot Acharonot, specifically these last tablets, the second tablets, that came by means of this tremendous descent and working on themselves. The Jewish people worked on themselves and they fixed themselves up. That this was brought about by means of the second tablets. This brings about the revelation of Talumot Chachma, the essence of what's called wisdom, Kaflaim, Giflaim Letoshia, doubled and redoubled for salvation. A sentence, and where is it in Mishlei? Let's have a look. I think it's in Mishlei 75. 1 minute. Here we go. Here. No, I'm sorry. It's Job. It's a sentence from Job. It says this brings out the hidden wisdom double for. I forgot where I was here. Yes, okay. Therefore, because the Jewish people sinned, but they repented and they changed themselves, they were higher than they were before. Therefore, only in the second tablets, which were after the Jewish people changed themselves because of Moshe's presence, therefore, the face of Moshe shined when he received the last tablets. Karan or Panov, it says that his face, there shined the skin of his face. Like Chachmat Adam Ta'ir Panov, like it says, the wisdom of man illuminates his face. It's a sentence from Kelet, from Ecclesiastes. Chazelle, this is an essence light of godliness, of revelation of God, which is above being able to be concealed. It can't be concealed. Therefore, this is the people couldn't look at it. And on the other hand, Heyot Shem Hamala, the Luchot Acharonot, that the last tablets came by means of the descent in this physical world. That's the bait of Breshit. That's the second stage. And there's the world. The whole story of the Torah is this world. God wanted the Torah to be in this world. And in the second tablets, God said to Moses, you carve out the tablets. Just take regular stones in the world. It says that Moses found somehow this quarry of like pure sapphire, and he caught, not like the first tablets, that the first tablets is that the stones that the first tablets were on, they were created by God. It was a special creation. That the second tablets, God wanted Moses to take the physical things in this world, even which this world was the whole reason that the Jewish people did the sin with the golden calf. Right? They were left alone in this world, and it seemed to them that Moses wasn't there to inspire them. So this world is their big enemy. God told Moses, take from this world stones and make from them the second tablets. From bad things, make them holy. Therefore, Moses' face shone. This made a year of a Yeshua, and people were afraid to come near Moshe. Therefore, it says, Yetenom alpanav masveh. He had to put on his face a concealment in order to conceal the revelation of God, which is in the Torah, that comes from working in the world, from fixing up the world. But this concealment of the veil that Moses put on his face, this was nogea not to the Jewish people. When Moses spoke to the Jewish people, he removed it. He put mitzar atzmam, not for the Jewish people, panim b'panim, because the Jewish people, God spoke to them on Mount Sinai without any concealment at all. Therefore, when Moshe spoke to the Jewish people, what God told him, he removed the covering over his face. And the Jewish people saw the face of Moshe. Kikaran, that's how they saw that his face was shining. When Moses and the Jewish people, but when Moshe was not, excuse me, was not giving the word of God over to the Jewish people, then he covered his face over. When he was giving the word of God over to the Jewish people, he removed the covering. But when he wasn't doing that, then he covered his face over, in order all sham at the birur, that he could fix up the world in a gradual way. Then the Yashiv Moshe al Masveh, then he put the veil back on his face, in order that the world would be able to receive this light. The Jewish people, they already had experienced God. 120 days earlier, they experienced God speaking to them. So the light of God, they could accept when Moses was speaking to them, but the world couldn't accept it. So when Moshe was dealing with the world, therefore he put this veil over his face. And when he was talking to the Jewish people, he removed it. Why? Because the world can only take a little bit of godliness, a little bit at a time. That the world should not be negated from its existence. In other words, Shagama Masveh, that this covering that Moses covered his face is not concealment. It's just sufficient revelation that the world can accept it. In order that the revelation will be accepted by the world. So Moses hid over his face. It wasn't that he was hiding over his face. Moshe wanted to reveal the godliness which was coming from him. But it had to be revealed in a way that it could be accepted. The Jewish people could accept it full force. The world can't accept it so much. Therefore, Moshe put over his face when he wasn't talking to the Jews. Because by means of a service of a Jew, in fixing up the world, he brings about Shagam Kafiya Yehudi, that according to a Jew is found in the world, is able to accept this revelation of the shining face of Moshe. Kafi like it will be in the Gula Amitis Vashlema. That's the whole idea of the future redemption of Mashiach. It says that what? Yolo Yakanef Od Morecha, that God will not conceal himself, that your eyes will see godliness. In other words, you'll see that the whole world is a creation, and you'll feel the Creator. The Bnei Israel and the Jewish people, in the Jewish people, that's how it will be. Gam kafi shenimtzaim, even how the Jewish people are found and they're working in the world. That in this will be the world itself will be revealed the glory of God, and all flesh together will see God. Evan Mikir Yitzhak, it says that even the stones from the walls will call out, I'm being created by God. Gile de koach hapol benifol, you will see the Creator revealed in every aspect of the creation. We talked about this a lot of times, and I brought an example that I made up myself, but I mean, so you can unmake it if you want to, but it's like you find let's say a nice picture in the garbage. This really happened. Find a picture in the garbage, and the person likes the picture, a nice picture. Right? There was another one where his aunt gave him in an inheritance a tube. Inside of it was a picture, a drawing. He took it out a picture. One person, then his family got $10,000 from his aunt. Another person got her house. Another person got her car. And he got this tube with a picture inside of it. So he figured, he went. Another one was a person found the thing in the garbage. It was somewhere in Mexico. A picture found. So he took it to a pawn shop to see how much it's worth. And the guy looks at it, he says, this picture is a genuine, original Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol was this guy anyway in the 60s or 70s. I don't understand. I wouldn't pay 5 cents for his pictures, but so this picture could be worth up to even $500,000. We have to see if it's one of the first originals, whatever it is, $500,000. Right? Why? Because it had this guy's signature on it. The same thing with the world. This picture was worth $500,000 because it had Andy Warhol's picture. Who was Andy Warhol? Just some sort of a decadent guy. Who was he? What? The world has God's signature on it. Everything in the world has God's signature on it. You think that it's just a regular nothing. You found that this other person, he found a picture in the garbage that was in Mexico, and there's some great. I never heard of the artist, but it was really a very nice picture. And it had this famous Mexican artist that the picture was worth, at least $200,000. I mean, maybe I'm wrong with the numbers, but you get the idea. It was 6 digits, however it was, the number. So, but just because it has a signature on it, it's such a big deal. Somebody else could copy the picture. No, if it's a copy, it's only worth like maybe $2-3. So it's an original. The copy looks exactly like the original. The original was no big, amazing thing in all itself, right? He used to make like the pictures of what is it, the Campbell soup cans, right? Campbell soup cans. They printed, and that was this is amazing. This is worth $1 million. If it was an original, it would be worth that. If it was a copy, it was worth nothing. What was it worth? Nothing. The same thing with the world. The world is an original. It's an original God, and God's signature is on every single stone, on everything that there is. The world is precious, but we don't see it. It says in the future we will see it. We will see it. From these 3 things in Parshas Kitisa, the beginning, middle, and end, the first tablets, the breaking of the tablets, and the second tablets, we can learn a person how to serve God. And when a person should be Yota Parsha Shekorim, because this Torah portion, which contains in it beginning, middle, and end, is read once every year. Therefore, there must be a teaching for the whole year. How much more so when now we're on Shabbat Parshas Tisa itself. Now we're in this Torah portion that we read. We understand something very important that's relevant to our life. We have to live with the Torah portion. A Jew is given the power to bring about in everything that he does, he, she, in the world, everything. You bake a cake, you sweep the floor, you tie your children's shoes, and also disappointments there are. Something falls down and it breaks, something you could take a wrong turn. From the beginning and the end, everything in between, from the beginning, Aleph, until Tuf, until the end, beginning, middle, and end, Aleph, Beit, Gimel, everything you do can be permeated with meaning. Beginning with, first of all these 3 things are found in our service every day. Beginning, middle, and end. How? Immediately when a Jew wakes up in the morning, you're supposed to say, Mode ani lefanecha. Thank you, God. I am grateful before you that you gave me back my soul. The Rebbe wanted this to be said in all the schools, the non-Jewish schools in America. They should say a minute of prayer. He wanted this should be the prayer. That every human being in America and eventually the whole world, excuse me, should, when they wake up in the morning, say, I stand in gratitude before you, God. I am grateful before you, God, that you gave me back my soul. That's the Aleph. That's the foundation. That's the beginning of the service of a Jew. Surrender and, how do you say, gratitude to God. Aleph, that's the beginning. Until that, your whole existence, what you are, you're happy you woke up in the morning. Who woke up in the morning? All of me, with my eyes, with my feet, with everything I'm going to do. That all of your being, that's the Ani, Mode Ani, I, which is the Mode, is grateful to you, God. That's the Aleph. That's how the day begins. Shekena Ani Shel Yehudi, the real true me, I, capital I, of a Jew, is, even how he is in this world, it's one with the Ani of God, the oneness of God, Anochi, the first of the 10 commandments, the first word in the 10 commandments. It says Jews and God are totally one, like the Holy Temple was. The Holy Temple was a building devoted just to God. Ukamuram is like it hinted at the letter Aleph. The letter Aleph, it has a Yud on the top, a Yud on the bottom, and a line in the middle. Yud is a Jew below. Here we see. Where do we have this? Aleph. See an Aleph. Yeah, this, if you look how it's written in the Torah, this is like a Yud. This line is a Yud. The one on the left. The one on the up is also a Yud, and there's a line in the middle. So it says a Yud, that's a Jew. Yehudi, Yud, Yehudi is below. A Yud, which is God, which is above. Also, Yud is 10, so it's the 10 Sphirot. And a Kav, a line which joins them. It says a Kav, a line of faith, a line of love. You do it like it's known that a Jew is one with the simple essence of a Jew is one with the simple essence of God. That's what we just learned with Kibul HaYehudim, the one, the inyan of Pshitut, Boli Yedei Bitoy Begilo, in this simplicity, the one essence of the Jewish soul comes to be revealed when he says Modeh Ani. That's what we learned, remember in the Megillah, what's written and what you read out. It's written Kibel, Yun, one, singular, but you read it out, plural. You bring it out, it's in the world. The oneness of God. This is our giving gratitude and thanks, which is above all names of God. All names. This way, in this sentence we say in the morning, Modeh Ani, it doesn't have any names of God in it. You can say it in the morning, first thing when you wake up. You don't have before you wash your hands. Okay, and therefore, the custom is you can say this. Even little children can say it, and they say Modeh Ani. Even more, afilu teva, even the word Modeh, when he says thankful, I am thankful to you, God. The sentence doesn't say that way. It says, thankful am I. The word Modeh is secondary to the Aleph, the Ani. Modeh, thankful, the thankful is given over to I. Shekein ha'ikar, the main thing is the word Ani, I. So when a person wakes up in the morning, Yeshno the Kol Rosh, first of all, a person feels that he exists. Here I am. 248 limbs, 365 blood vessels, it says. First thing you wake up in the morning, here I am. You don't know anything about yourself. Sometimes you don't even know where you are. Only afterwards, King, Shalom, אני מוסר שיעור, כן. כן, יפה. שלום. אני אדבר איתך. אל תאכל. אני נכתוב עליך. ראשון, אוקיי. Shalom. My grandson. That's the Modeh Ani, that you surrender your I to the Creator. Afal Pikein, nevertheless, you say Modeh Ani, but you don't say Ani Modeh. You don't say I am grateful. You say grateful am I, because Ad Kedei Kach, that Ani, that the I, the true existence, the true identity of a Jew is attached with God, that even when he wakes up in the morning, first thing, even though the Ani, he feels himself, but really the first thing he really feels is Hoda, surrender, that self. After that, that's the Aleph, that's the first stage. After that comes the blessings in the morning. Then the prayer. You have to open up a Jewish Siddur, a prayer book, in order to understand what this is talking about. But there's those 15 blessings. We say in the morning, we thank God for freeing us and for giving us eyes to see, and Pokeach Ivrim and Matir Asurim. This also is the other stages in the Aleph in the beginning of the world, the beginning of the day. Afterwards is the Beit. That's step number one, waking up in the morning, saying the blessings in the morning, connecting yourself to God. Then there's step number two. What's step number two? You finished your prayers, you finished your surrender, you finished your acknowledgement, you finished your gratitude, you go into the world. Yetzer Adam, you go to work. Yetzer Adam Lapalo, you go to work until the evening. You go out from the synagogue and the place of learning, and you go into the world to make the service of the world a place that God can be revealed in. You have to act in a normal way to be in the world, in your business, in your job, to provide needs for people, whatever, to do business in an honest way. Afterwards, when you finish, that's the third step. What's the third step? So when a person and before he goes to sleep, and he makes an accounting of the whole entire day, what he's done, and in general, he does this in the evening prayer. That's the finishing of the day. When he says, Ach Tzadikim Yerushamecha, says after the Aleinu prayer, that even the tzaddikim will give a praise to God, praising God in the end of the day. When you finish the service of God, then you say Kriya Shema Lamita, then you think, okay, now I'm going to put myself into your hands, God. I hope I did something good today. So it is also generally, al derech zeh, it is also these three things in the service of a Jew all the days of his life. Arichat Yomim, that it should be long life, and it should be healthy life, beginning of service, middle of service, and the end of the service. A person, when he's a child, when he's young, he's educated. Then afterwards, that's step number one. Step number two, you get married, you go into the world, you have a lot of responsibilities. You have responsibilities to your clients, to your family, to your wife, to yourself, to your community. And then finally, in the end, the end of a person's life, when he makes an accounting of everything that he's done. I think we've said this a lot of times, but I'll say it again. There's the saying, life is very short. It's true, life is very short in one sense, but in another way, life is eternal. The soul never dies. The soul just goes into different bodies. So that the putting of a soul into a particular body to do a particular for a particular reason, that's short. True. Person only lives 120 years, however it is. So he's got a time to fulfill that particular task that is given, she, in that particular body. But in fact, life is infinitely long. Life is the soul, and it's infinitely long. So a person's life is like a day. You wake up in the morning, you do your work, you go to sleep. But the next morning, you also wake up. So that's also, there's three things that are also in general of a service all the days of his life. From the beginning of the service, the middle, and the end, until the completion of the service. And so it is also all of the world. There was the beginning of the world, all of the 5,700 years that we're up to now. And then there's the coming of the Moshiach. That's going to be the sum total of everything. How much more so in our generation? Our generation is the last generation of exile and the first generation of the redemption, after there are so many deeds that the Jewish people have done, so much self-sacrifice of the Jewish people in the course of all these years. And now we've already finished, says the Rebbe. We already finished it all. And we've done everything we have to do. Now the main emphasis is the third stage, the Gomer Avoda. Now we're in the Gimel, which is the Geula. Every Jew has the power to do this. Are we going to finish it? Now, I think we're going to have to finish this next week. We're going to say, okay, this is the last one. All right, let's see what we can do with it. It is in the ability of every single Jew to bring about all these things we said from the beginning to the end, from Aleph, the Moda Ani in the morning, the Ani of every single Jew, the existence, the true identity of every Jew, which is attached to the Anochi, the true existence of God, which is expressed in the first of the 10 commandments, Anochi, until even how a Jew is in physical world, doing the most mundane physical things. The whole world was created for the sake of the Jews, which are called first That's where the whole world was created. Just a small innuendo, and Professor Viktor Frankl, he talks about this also a lot. So that sometimes the janitor in the hospital cures more people than the surgeons do. Says why? Because the surgeons they're educated and they're experts and they have experience and they're very they have tremendous responsibility and they operate on a person and then they finish. Once they do, they finish. The person is cured. But the janitor, he goes around and says, "How are you this morning? How are you? Oh, I see your family came to visit you yesterday. What a wonderful family you have. You must be really proud of them, right?" And he gives the person a feeling of hope, of worth, that he's not alone. That the person feels that the janitor is happy to see me. Someone's happy to see me. Sometimes it can be the simple things that we do in the world, in the world, those can have the most meaning. That can have the most meaning. And that a person has to make a accounting of himself every day, not necessarily according to our own standards, but according to the standards of God. In other words, it could be the one good word you say to somebody, one good action that you help somebody. That could mean more than anything else. You can't tell. Therefore, every day you should say, before you go to sleep, you should say, well, tomorrow I'm going to do a little bit more good. I'm going to say more good things about people. I'm going to say less bad things about people, about the government, about the economy, about the past government. Let's only say good things. Let's only do good things. The Jewish people are called the first, and we can say that the power to reveal this in every single Jew, this comes from Moses. And the representative of Moses in every generation has to have a Moshe. Like Mordechai was in his generation. In our generation, this is the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. By means of this is brought about all of these three things that we said: the first tablets, the breaking of the tablets, and the third tablets. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he was in a time when there was the broken tablets. He was in the time when the Nazis were killing Jews and the communists were killing Jews. And in America, the reform movement and whatever intermarriage was killing Jews spiritually, right? It was a terrible time for Jews. It was the broken tablets, right? The broken tablets from every side. And the Rebbe came like Moshe, and he came to fix the thing up, to fix it up. It says the Rebbe, it's been fixed. It's been fixed. Now all we have to do is just continue doing good, do more good. But the goal is not today to fix up the world as it is to just accept the truth, that what a Jew really is and what the world is really created for. How much more so now when we're found in Shabbat, when we read Parshas Kitise, the head of the Jewish people elevating. Who is the head of the Jewish people? Moses. And every generation has to have a Moses. I wrote one of the people in one of these on YouTube. He wrote, "But you're trying to say that the Lubavitcher Rebbe is like Moses? I mean, that's ridiculous." Okay, but somebody has to be like Moses in every generation. You don't like how the Rebbe looks. You don't like his eyes. Okay, you have whatever it is. So, but you have to find somebody. There has to be someone like Moshe. There must be a Moshe in every generation. You don't know who he is? Look for him. Could be the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Examine it. Examine for yourself. Someone like Moshe, that he leads all the Jewish people, that he knows the whole entire Torah, that he's fighting only for good. Then this is all this bringing out the essence of the soul of every Jew. This is done by Moshe. Moses, he elevates the head of the Jewish people. This was given afterwards, the power that Moses gave the power to all of the generation. Moses gave the power that he could affect in the continue our Torah portion. The Aleph, he could draw down the Aleph, the first tablets, even in the time of the base, when working in the world, even in the mistakes that we can make in the world, the breaking of the tablets, and he can transform them to the last tablets. That's what revealed the shining face of Moshe, which is in the power of every single Jew. That's why when Moshe spoke to the Jews, he took away the covering that he covered his face. Though by means of the service, our work in this world, we can make that the whole entire world will accept this. This, of course, requires a great amount of faith, but that's the essence of the Jewish people. Without that, we would have been finished a long time ago, the Jewish people. Right after all the expulsions and the pogroms and the Holocaust and the murders and the terrible things that happened, and there came along what was called the what was it the intellectual Jews, the what is the Renaissance Jews, whatever they're called, and gave like 100 reasons why to leave religious Judaism and the Torah is old-fashioned. You don't have to keep Shabbos, all these other, to be like the non-Jews, and it works. You can see you can become a big star. You can become big, your name is in all the papers, and people buy your records if you just leave Judaism, right? All these good, and nevertheless, the Jews held out. The Jews held out, and there were some of them that they refused to accept success because it meant that they would have to compromise their Judaism, right? Who brought this out in general, this idea of self-sacrifice for Judaism? Mordechai, Moshe, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. And it could be you don't even know that there is such a person, but the fact is he brought out this idea that we Jews are here to benefit the whole entire world, even if they don't want to, and even if we Jews don't want to. In addition to the fact that every single Jew received this glory of the face of Moshe, was given to every single Jew because there's Moshe is inside every Jew. The first Rebbe of Chabad explains in the Tanya, the same what it says, Ata Yisrael, now Jewish people, what does God request from you except to fear God? Was it very 41? Was it? Chapter 41, where is it? Doesn't say. Okay, anyway. What does God want from you? The saying of the rabbis, what does God want from you? All God wants is that you should fear God. And the Gemara asks, fearing God is such, that's all? That's like a simple thing? And the Gemara answers, yes, and regarding Moses, it's a simple thing. That every Jew has a Moses inside of him, totally devoted to the Creator. According to this, we have to understand, on the other hand, how is it possible to say that by Moshe, he's got this thing of Zutrasa, that Moshe, it's an easy thing, it's a small thing for Moshe. But fear of God is not a small thing even for Moshe. We can say that Moses himself, there's many, many levels. There's the feet of Moshe, there's the body of Moshe, there's the head of Moshe, there's the crown of Moshe. Even there's what's called the lower level of fear. This is attached to the feet of Moshe. That's the lowest level of Moshe, that he can inspire in the Jews a simple awareness that there's God. That's what said Milta Zutras. It's called a small thing. But above this, there's a lot of levels of Moshe. There's also a level of Moshe which totally surrendered to God. That's the Benoni. That's the whole Tanya. That's the goal of Hasidut Chabad says is the goal of every Jew. Of every Jew. The Darga Rabsi in a very high level, a Darga a Rosh Shalamaylam is the crown of Moshe. That this is the crown of Moshe, the connecting to the essence of God, which is there in every Jew. That's the crown which is of Moshe. Similarly, also we can understand that there is a Moshe in every Jew, that because of this, every Jew inside of him has all of these levels, from the lower, simple fear of God to more complicated, until this Benoni to Rabsi, to be a tzaddik. That's how the Tanya starts off, to be a tzaddik. A tzaddik is a person that feels God all the time. On until the crown, it says, of Moshe. It's relevant to every Jew. The novelty of this is that this whole idea of the crown is not really relevant to the opposite side. It's only given to the Jews. That's how the Jews defeated Haman. That's right, because the Jews are called the sons of kings, Bnei Malachim, or even no more, the Jewish people are called kings, all the times and all the places. Nothing in the world can defeat the essence of what a Jew is. A Jew has the crown of the king and the powers of the soul. I mean, if you ever seen, I saw a interview, and they interviewed a man, a German that was in the SS. Man must be in his 90s now. He was in the SS, and he explained how when they, especially when they attacked Russia, so they took Jews out and they just lined them up, and they just shot them. They shot them. They had them turn their backs, and they just shot them. And the Jews couldn't do anything. They couldn't run away, and they never expected it. They never expected. These were non-combatants, just women and children, and they shot them and killed them. So they said, do you have any regrets that you did that? He said, when you did it, and when you did it, did you have any feeling of regret when you did it? And this man said, no, I hated the Jews so much that I had absolutely no regret. I mean, it seems that from that he doesn't hate them as much now, but he did hate them then. In any case, he said, I hated the Jews so much. Now you come to think, why did he hate them? These are women and children. What could they possibly have done to him? What could they do to him? What was the threat? Why did he hate them so much? It's like, you find sometimes a spider in your house or something, you kill it. I hate spiders, right? What do they hate the Jews for? So this is what he hated. He hated the essence of God, which is found in every Jew. And he was a person that he liked to kill. He liked destruction. He liked to kill. He did, right? I hated the Jews so much, therefore you shoot him in the back. You shoot women and children just you hate them, right? If there's somebody I hate, I don't kill him. Not going to go and kill him. I hate him. I don't like him, right? I hate this political figure, right? I hate him. I'm going to kill the guy because I hate him. I'm not going to kill his children. It makes no sense. That the will to Hashem, which is in every Jew, is found powerfully all the time. Therefore, constantly the Jewish people have the power that they can always reveal in their essence and stand in the exile. They can defy anything. Even when the true, holy will of every Jew is found sometimes concealed, then his true will inside is like what the Rambam said, that you have to sometimes force a Jew to do what he really wants to do. So sometimes a Jew, let's say a man beats his wife, doesn't treat her well, he's supposed to divorce her, but he refuses. So it says it's permissible to beat him in order to divorce him, but a person has to divorce his wife from his own free will. It says that's his free will. Every Jew wants to do what God wants. And it goes out with, and this is not talking about the beginning of the time of the exile, when then it says that the continue of exile, so when the temple was destroyed, even now when we're in the essence of the exile, in the Holocaust and the massacres that Stalin was doing, nevertheless there shines over there the the power of the light of God, which is in every single Jew. The shining face of Moshe is in every single Jew. And this is found revealed even more with the rabbis, the advisors in every single generation. And to our generation, that's the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. And this is a preparation of that God said, I will restore your judges like they were in the beginning, that will have true guides to tell us what to do. And the main thing will be the Melech HaMashiach. Like it says, the Melech HaMashiach, like we always say, Yoram Keren Mashiach. Maybe they elevated the crown. The Keren also means like the horn or whatever, but the Keren also means the glory. Bahu Yachzir, he will bring back the kingship of King David back to what it was before, and he will build the third temple, gather all the Jewish people together, and all of the laws will return like they were previously. That's what's going to be, God willing, on Purim tonight. It's going to happen. It has to happen. The Mashiach can come. It says in 24 minutes, the Beis Hamikdash will come from heaven and it'll be ready, open for business with Mashiach now. Let's